Congressman, first of all, what's your latest take on the shutdown of President Trump? Has seemed to give some mixed signals as to whether there's some progress or talks. What's your understanding?
Well, the healthcare crisis that has led us to this place is only getting worse and more immediate. In Rhode Island and all across the country, people are seeing their health insurance costs for next year going up by 20, 30%, in some cases double, costing the average family thousands of dollars more per year. And that is a reality that Republicans in Congress and the Trump administration cannot run away from. And I think what you're seeing, just even in the last day, is a growing willingness on the Republican side to work with us to fix this healthcare crisis and reopen the government. President Trump said yesterday that he was going to be negotiating, or there would be negotiations with the Democrats on healthcare. Marjorie Taylor Greene last night put out a post where she said that she agreed with the Democrats that this health insurance cost issue is something that we have to deal with. And so I'm hopeful that the tide is turning and that Republicans will come to the table to work with us to reopen the government and deal with this healthcare crisis. The thing that has to happen next, though, is Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, needs to call Congress back into session. House Republicans have been on vacation for 18 days now while the government is shut down and healthcare costs are about to explode. And so I think that there is hopefully a growing awareness on the Republican side, including by President Trump, that we have to deal with this healthcare issue as part of next year's federal budget. But Speaker Johnson needs to get on that page and reconvene Congress so that we can actually get this done and get it done quickly.
Is there, from your point of view, any room to negotiate? I mean, do you think you and the Democrats are willing to budge at all on anything when it comes to the tax credits?
Sure. I mean, look, on the details, there is always room to negotiate. And if the Republicans have ideas, they should bring those ideas to the table. But the point of the matter is that Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, just canceled session for the second week in a row. House Republicans have been on vacation for 18 days and counting. They need to understand the urgency of the situation and come back and work with us. And of course, we can have conversations about what the details should look like. But what is absolutely unavoidable, in my view, is that we have to deal with this healthcare crisis now before people's health insurance costs skyrocket. And second, we've got to move quickly because we've got to get the government open as quickly as possible at the same time. But every day that the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, delays by keeping Congress out of session is a wasted day that only causes more disruption and anxiety for people all across the country.
Well, Ray, he claims that the House passed a bill and now it's up to the Senate, right? So he claims the House's job is done. Clearly, you disagree.
Well, the budget that Speaker Johnson pushed through the House does nothing to deal with this healthcare crisis. And again, for a family of four in Rhode Island earning $80,000 a year that gets their insurance from HealthSource RI, they're going to see their premiums go up by more than $2,000 next year. A family of four earning $120,000 could see their premiums go up by $5,000 or $6,000. People cannot afford that. Costs are already too high. And the budget that Mike Johnson pushed through the House was a partisan budget that did nothing to deal with the healthcare crisis. And again, as more and more people across the country are getting their notifications for how much their costs are about to increase, even Republicans, including President Trump, are starting to say, yeah, well, maybe we should deal with this healthcare issue. And of course we should. So again, Speaker Johnson needs to realize that the partisan budget that he passed that does not address the healthcare funding crisis is not good enough. And he has to bring Congress back so that we can work out a deal quickly to reopen the government and fund healthcare.
And so you think the Democrats are winning the battle of public perception and who's in the right here?
Well, it's not about winning or losing. It's about the fact that all across the country, people are getting notifications about what their health insurance costs are going to be next year and are seeing increases of thousands of dollars because Republicans were about to let the Affordable Care Act funding run out. And so, Democrats, we've been sounding the alarm on this for a while. I think Republicans some of them are starting to realize that this is a real problem that we need to deal with. And I do think that ultimately there's a path here to get this done. But we need to get everybody in the same room, call Congress back into session, and act with the urgency that the situation deserves.
Well, if their ultimate goal, though, is to scrap Obamacare and redo all that, do you think some of them are getting what they want?
Well, for 15 years since the Affordable Care Act was passed, Republicans in Congress have been saying that they're going to repeal it and replace it with something else. But they, in 15 years, have not been able to come up with their replacement plan. What are they going to replace it with? They've had 15 years to figure that out, and they still haven't been able to do it. So the Affordable Care Act funding is about to run out at the end of the year. People's health insurance costs are going to skyrocket. If the Republicans don't have any alternative ideas, then the responsible thing to do is to continue the Affordable Care Act tax credit funding for at least another few years. And if the Republicans want to take that time and come up with a better set of ideas for healthcare, let's have that conversation. But in the meantime, people who are already struggling with the high cost of living in this country should not be forced to have their health insurance costs go up by thousands of dollars next year just because the Republicans don't have a better idea for how to do healthcare.
On another note, with the shutdown this morning, I know there was some talk of a White House memo about potentially not giving back pay to the furloughed workers. What's your thought on that? Although Speaker Johnson and President Trump make it sound like that won't happen.
I think that's just posturing by the White House, and frankly, it's pretty weak posturing, because in every other shutdown, furloughed employees have gotten their back pay. And even if that were not the case, that could easily be done as part of any budget resolution that we ultimately pass. So I think that's a weak attempt at posturing by the White House. They need to stop the games, stop the threats, stop the memes on social media, and instead just get back in the room, get Republican and Democratic leaders in the room to hash out a solution, to pass a budget to reopen the government and fix the healthcare crisis. This is not complicated. It doesn't need to take a long time. They just need to stop the games and get down to business.
Have you had any conversations with any Republicans, like about either what their feelings are or trying to work out a potential solution?
Again, a lot of Republican members realize, or are starting to realize, that this Affordable Care Act funding needs to be extended. I think one of the reasons that Mike Johnson has kept Congress out of session is that he's worried that having us all in Washington, Republicans and Democrats would be talking to each other more, and the pressure to extend the Affordable Care Act funding would only grow and become overwhelming. I think that's going to happen anyway, because again, you can't escape the reality that people are getting their notices of what next year's costs are going to be, and those costs are significantly higher than this year. So, Mike Johnson may think he's being clever by keeping everyone at home so that Republicans and Democrats in Congress won't talk to each other. But I think he's just postponing the inevitable. We have to deal with this healthcare crisis, and we have to deal with it soon.
Do you care to venture a guess as to how much longer this is going to go?
That's up to Speaker Johnson, but I can tell you for a fact that Democrats in the House are ready to head back to Washington on a moment's notice to pass a bipartisan budget, reopen the government, and deal with this healthcare cost crisis. The Senate is already in session, and President Trump has said that he is willing to come to an agreement with Democrats on this. But Speaker Johnson needs to do the right thing and call us back into session.
All right. So you're home right now, correct?
I'm home, and I've been meeting with healthcare providers in Rhode Island. I was at Kent Hospital the other day and at Tri-County Health. I'm going down to South County Hospital tomorrow, just to have conversations and hear from people in the healthcare field about how important it is that we extend this Affordable Care Act funding. I'm also meeting with federal workers in Rhode Island who've been impacted by the shutdown. But as good as it is to hear from Rhode Islanders and get this feedback, I want to get back to Washington so that we can pass a bipartisan budget and get this over with. But the speaker needs to call us back.
All right. Thanks, Congressman.
Hey,
appreciate the time. Okay.
Thank you.
Take care.